welcome back to another video. I'm Trip, and this episode I'm deleting the clutch delay valve out of my Honda Fit because we don't need it. I don't like it. And we're going to be replacing it with this line from Seb's Garage. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So the clutch delay valve, this is on a 07 Honda Fit GD3. It's really hard to see. Might not be even able to see it from up here, but it's kind of down there behind the battery, underneath the battery. There's a valve that essentially there's a line that goes from the clutch master cylinder to a valve that goes to the slave cylinder down here. I'll post a picture over here once I get it out so you can see it better. Yeah, take that valve out and put this little guy in its place. So what is the purpose of this delay valve thingy that Honda put in there? It's essentially to make your clutch engagements a lot smoother, a lot softer. So it makes it easier to drive the clutch or put it in gear. It kind of delays the action just a little bit. And also I think it's to reduce like shock to the driveline, so you can like dump the clutch and it's not as bad for it if it's just a direct hookup, direct line. So it's mostly for comfort. It makes it easier to drive the stick. If you've ever driven one of these cars, it's a very easy clutch to operate, very easy to drive. Definitely a good starter car for somebody learning how to drive a stick. But I want to make it harder to drive. But if you're tracking one of these cars, you're a little bit less concerned with comfort and smoothness of your shifts. I'm more concerned about speed. So this, since it delays it delays your clutch engagement just like a small millisecond. Even though it's just a tiny bit, all those tiny bits can add up over time. And also, it gives a more direct feel. When you push in the clutch, it's kind of a, I don't know, it just feels like it's nothing new. So it will improve the feeling of your clutch pedal. This line, like I said, is from Seb's Garage. And it's pretty inexpensive. It's like 85 bucks or something like that. Which, for a good part, I think it's worth it. And it's also a good idea to support and help out smaller companies. You know, it's pretty awesome that somebody's making parts for this toad still. And he also makes dead pedals, which I will be installing soon as well. Okay, let's get started. First thing I want to do is disconnect your battery, because this has to come out. Also, it would be a good idea to remove your intake. Of course, I have a different setup. I have the aftermarket intake, but if you have these stock intake, you're going to have to take all that stuff out. Pretty much get it all out of the way. After your battery intake's out of the way, you remove the battery tray. Now that that stuff's out of the way, you can kind of see what we're talking about. This thing right here is your CDV. So you can see where there's a line that goes into it. You follow it, it goes to your clutch master cylinder that's on the firewall. You're going to have to disconnect that line on the master. Then you follow the bigger line. It's going to go to this guy here, little bracket. After you've disconnected it from both ends, it probably will make a mess. This will leak out some brake fluid. There's two bolts that mount it to the frame rail down there. You want to take those guys out, and it should just come right out. Okay, this jam nut is a 10 mil, you want to use a line wrench, kind of like this one. If you use a normal wrench, open-end wrench, you risk stripping that out. This is a soft aluminum, so it is easy to strip these out, especially if you're in a northern area where you have a lot of rust. I put a little bit of WD-40 on it on both ends to help it out. Luckily this is a southern coil. Also, I put some vice grips on that bracket because this will flex a little bit when you go to unloosen that nut. Okay, after you've got this, your little jam nut loose and backed off, you can pull out this little tab. You can either use some vice grips to pull it out or use like a flathead screwdriver and kind of pry on it. It's like a little clip that has to come out for this line to come off this bracket. Don't do what I did and just sling it off where it goes flying over the place. It flew over here somewhere and I don't know where it went. So now I gotta go finding it. Could be a nail, could be a nail, could be in one of those drawers. Hey, I found it underneath my intake in my parts pile, so it was where it was supposed to be. But this is the clip you essentially gotta pry off that holds that line on onto that bracket. Okay, next I'm going to tackle these two 12 mils on this bracket. If you follow the bracket down to the frame rail, there's two 12 mils. I'm going to take those off. Oops. Okay, that guy is loose. And don't lose your hardware. One of my bolts went down there somewhere. I'll find it later. Just don't forget about it. Next is the line on the actual master cylinder itself. Which I don't know if you can see that or not. I don't know if it's supposed to do that. The whole thing's turning. So yeah, let's probably tighten that up. Well, this one's kind of hard to see down in there. But I have a 17mm on that bottom gen nut that's moving around. So I'm using the same line wrench, except the other side. Just a 12mm side of it. I'm using 17 to hold it still while I break it loose. I did put a little bit of WD-40 on it, but I'm going to need both hands for that one. With a little bit of patience, it's free. Hey, and here is the clutch delay valve. This is your valve itself right here. Let's see, the fluid goes through here, goes to your valve, and it slows down the pressure just a little bit, so you can put in gear, then out to your slave cylinder. The new one is just simple. Less complicated, less things to mess up. It's a simple line, like the old days. Also, after I broke the lines loose with this wrench, once it was kind of easy to turn, I did use a normal open wrench to take it the rest of the way off. It's a little bit easier. Since that one that's down in there, you can only go, you know, a quarter of a turn at a time, so it is a little time consuming. It takes a while. You just have to be patient with that one since it's kind of down in there, but it will come off pretty easy. Let's put the new one on. This side is a 13mm and this other side is a 17. So yeah, you're gonna need more tools. Now go in. That's simple. Not really. Don't do what I do. It's not quite that easy. With your 17 and your 13mm, snug that up. And apparently that is normal for this thing to rotate like this. Kind of worried me for a second at first. It will not go down flush, so make sure to not over tighten it or you will strip that out. So it's pretty normal for it to have a little bit of a gap like that. As long as it's snug. Of course, once that's good and tight, on the other end, do your little bracket and connect this line. This end is a 10mm and a 10mm. Snug it on, make sure not to over tighten it and strip it out. Just nice and snug. Once those are tight, put your little clip back in. The little flat end of the clip faces forward, so it should be facing the front bumper. And like that, the line is on. It really wasn't too bad. Now you can throw this guy away, but we're not done. Since we opened up the system like any other brake line or clutch line, if you break the line, now there's air in your system. So now you gotta bleed the clutch. I probably said that in the very beginning of the video, kind of as a warning that you will have to bleed your clutch after this. So it'd be kind of self-explanatory. For this car, the bleed screw for the slave is this guy right here on the front of the engine, front of the transmission. Which I'm not going to go through the tire process with you. You will need a second person to sit on the inside, hold the head pedal down, open the bleeder screw, close it, release the clutch pedal, and do that over and over and over again. Some people say it might take like 15 times to get all the air out of that little line. So yeah, let's do that. Put some fresh new fluid in. It's looking pretty nasty anyway, so it probably really needs it. So you're gonna help do the clutch, bleed the clutch? Of course not, you don't have no feet.
Well, you ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dane.
Yes, I know that.
What about you? You gonna help? And you just sit up there, put the clutch pedal in. I'm sure you can hold it down, you're big enough. You guys are no help. Also, if you didn't know, there's like a little trap door right here. So you can put a funnel to these two guys to this little door. Pretty convenient. Those Honda guys are pretty smart. Hey, it's bled and it works. Your foot did a good job. But why are you so squeaky? Okay, I'm done bleeding. While you're bleeding it, take the opportunity to look for leaks. Make sure you did it right. Make sure everything's tight enough. You're not spraying fluid all over the place. It feels good. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put all this stuff back in there.
5 minutes later.
Okay, now the car is all back together. That all went pretty easy, no problems there. Only things left really is to actually go drive it, see how she feels. I've used my foot. She feels pretty good. It is a little more squeaky. But before I do my little test drive, probably gonna do a few other things, like install this dead pedal. I got an NRG quick release. I got a new steering wheel, which this stuff's coming later. Okay, I'm back from my quick little test drive. Not really a whole lot I can do, you know, and film, since it's more of a feeling thing than a visual thing with the clutch. So for the most part, I can only tell you what I feel. It's definitely not one of those things that's like night and day huge difference. It's definitely a kind of a small difference or noticeable difference. It's definitely, you definitely, it feels more foam, I guess. Not as dead and floppy. If that's kind of makes any sense. Like before, like you push the pedal in, it just feels like there's nothing there almost. Not a whole lot of resistance. Now now it feels more firm, like it's actually doing something like a normal clutch. Kind of going low speeds, putting around, don't really see much of a difference. But when you're really on it and like in high RPMs, like close to the 7K, 6K area and doing a quick shift, it's definitely a lot better. It feels a lot better. It goes in gear a lot faster. You don't have that slight delay. And that slight delay can add up over time, especially if you're on a long, big track. So yeah, so I'm happy with it. And while I was testing that out, I was also testing out my new dead pedal, which will be in the next video. So these two videos should pretty much come out very close to each other. So keep your eye out for that one. And also installed the new steering wheel, Momo steering wheel, and also the NRG quick release, which I didn't really make a separate video about that. Just did it since it's quick and easy. I did all three of these things in a few hours, same day. But that is it for this video. But before I go check out Seb's Garage for some good fit parts, where he goes to support smaller businesses. And yeah, come back for the next video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.